Well, then obviously you've never heard about the Tenerife airline disaster.
No.
Yeah, it's not a good one, and it involves basically the most deaths ever in an airline disaster. And it all involves a pilot going kind of rogue and saying he's just going to take the damn plane because he can, like we just heard from Mr. Pilot Dude.
Yeah, I don't know what chip was on his shoulder or why he was eavesdropping.
I think Midnight is being a little rude, don't you think?
Yeah, oh man.
I'm on an airplane. They're supposed to be
normal
rude.
people.
But is he not rude?
No.
Normal
All
people
right.
listen to the safety information and they shut the fuck up and they put their seatbelt on. I don't understand why you're being so difficult with this guy. He's doing his job.
Every time I hear that,
You don't want to die?
peel out whine of the engine, man, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, the pilot's just like with the foot brake on and the
Wow.
engines are going, you know, we're about to fucking take off. I don't know. Okay, so
You've really gotten into this. But
it's just scary, man. There's something about flying I don't like.
Well,
Yeah, no, it's super scary.
Yeah, if you didn't like it now, wait just a few minutes and let me tell you a little story about airlines. Bad weather, miscommunication, and impatience can be a bad combination. However, on March 27th, 1977, it was deadly. In fact, it caused the deadliest air disaster in history. On that day, two 747s headed for the Las Palmas airport on Gran Canary Island, or Gran Canaria Island, part of the Canary Islands.
How do you spell it? Canara? Like just
Canaria.
Yeah,
Canaria.
lazy
Canaria. It's in Gran
Canary.
Canaria Island, part of the Canary Islands. However, a terrorist from the Canary Island Separatists, which was a thing in the 70s. There was
Wow.
actually a terrorist
All
group called the Canary Island Separatists. They detonated a bomb in the flower shop and caused all incoming flights to be diverted to Los Rodeos Airport in the Spanish island of Tenerife, nearby, also part of the Canary Islands owned by Spain. Now, KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736 were two of those planes. When they arrived, little did they know that both planes had just made their last flights. Because of all the diversions, the normal sleepy little airport was packed with planes. The Pan Am and the KLM are instructed to wait near the passenger terminal, maybe and insert a holding pattern, and sit nearly wingtip to wingtip. After about 2 hours, Las Palmas is ready to accept traffic again. So the KLM begins to taxi first.
Las Palmas, was that just the air traffic control?
No, that's the name of the airport.
Okay.
Las Palmas Airport.
Las Palmas.
Yeah. And at the same time the KLM begins to taxi, a blanket of fog comes down off the mountains and envelops the airport, greatly reducing visibility.
That's a fucking bad luck day, man.
Never good. Never good.
It's bad luck just seeing a thing like that.
Now, because of the congestion, planes are instructed to taxi all the way down the runway, turn 180 degrees, and then use the same runway to take off. Normally, there'd be a side road. Planes just go in one direction, taking off, and the side road is where they come into the top of the runway and go down. But here, they're taxiing all the way down the runway, doing a 180 turn, and then taking off said runway. Now, shortly after the KLM starts to taxi down the runway, a few hundred yards behind, the Pan Am flight follows suit. So now we have two 747s, the big mothers, on the same runway, unaware of each other, unable to even see each other.
How many, back, so this is, when?
1977.
How many, I just wonder how many people each plane could have fit.
You'll find out later.
Jesus.
Yes, you will find out. It is a statistic, not a good one. Now, Captain Van Zanten, I love that name, Captain Van Zanten of the KLM takes his plane to the end of the runway, turns around, and waits for instructions. The Pan Am flight is instructed to taxi midway down the runway and turn into exit 3C and clear the runway for the KLM to take off. Now, due to the low visibility, the Pan Am pilots miss 3C and continue to 4C, one of many big mistakes. At the same time, the KLM received their ATC route clearance. This is not the okay to take off, but rather a procedure outlining turns, altitudes, and frequencies to be used once airborne. However, the pilots misunderstood. They were tired, annoyed, and anxious, and it is said that you can hear it in their voices.
It's a fucking tiny airport, too.
Yeah, and there's way more there than they're used to having, and way more traffic than they're used to dealing with. So the first officer acknowledges the heading and altitudes and then ends with, "We are now at takeoff," accompanied with the sound of accelerating engines.
Jesus Christ.
The brakes are released. "We gone and let's go" are also heard as the 747 takes off down the runway. Now, at takeoff, quote unquote, is not standard terminology, and the tower gets a little alarmed and radios the KLM saying, "Okay, stand by for takeoff. I will call you." Tragically, at the exact same moment, the pilot of the Pan Am radios in, and we're still taxiing down the runway. Either of those might have stopped the KLM. Sadly, since the messages happened simultaneously, they canceled each other out. You see, it's more advanced now, but back then in 1977, they're basically, it's almost like using a walkie-talkie. When one person's talking, you can't hear what the other person's saying. When you're talking to someone, you're not going to hear what the other person's saying. It kind of sounds something like this. And that's what he heard. He heard, okay, and then that, and decided, okay, we're
that
good.
Is not good.
Now,
It's a lot of information that was omitted.
yeah. Now, the plane continues forward. 10 seconds later, the tower says to the Pan Am, "Report when runway clear." "We'll report when we're clear," they responded. The pilot and the co-pilot of the KLM do not hear this exchange.
Jesus Christ.
But the second officer does.
Oh, my God.
So you can hear him on the recorder lean in. "Is he not clear? The Pan Am American?" "Oh, yes," responds the pilot. The Pan Am pilot senses something is not right and says, the Pan Am pilot, the one that's sitting there, the KLM is coming at it, senses something is not right and says, "Let's get the fuck out of here." A few seconds later, the nose of the KLM pierced the fog 2,000 feet from the Pan Am and approaching fast. "There he is," shouts Captain Victor Grubbs of the Pan Am flight.
Jeez.
He slams the accelerator. "Look at him! God damn, that son of a bitch is coming!" he yells. "Get off! Get off! Get off!" shouts the first officer of the Pan Am. Finally, Captain Van Zanten of the KLM sees the Pan Am and pulls fiercely back on the elevators. But it's not enough. The bottom of the KLM slices off the ceiling of the Pan Am, setting off a series of explosions. Badly damaged, the KLM skids down the runway and bursts into flames and is completely engulfed. No one can escape. According to the first officer of the Pan Am, the initial impact felt little more than, quote, a bump and then some shaking. All 5 men in the cockpit ducked when they saw the approaching plane instinctively. Before looking up, the pilot reached up to grab these fire suppression handles. He groped helplessly until finally he looked up and noticed the roof was gone.
Oh,
so they all
crazy.
ducked down. The roof got removed. They didn't even know. He's just looking up, and then he looks up and sees sky.
that is intense as shit.
Insane. The cockpit crew
Holy
was
fuck.
able to jump to safety along with a number of the passengers that were seated near the front of the Pan Am. The final toll, Pan Am Flight 1736, crew of 16, 9 dead. 380 passengers, 326 dead.
Wow.
The KLM Flight 4805,
And this was the one who decided to be
Yeah.
foolhardy.
yep, and 14 crew, 234 passengers, all dead. In total, 583 souls lost their life because someone was just a little impatient.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Absolutely terrifying. And thank God communication. And one of the things about this disaster really changed the way they deal with planes and the air traffic controllers. That they made sure that all terminology is completely standardized. That you're saying the exact words that need to be said. There's no, we're going to do this. No, you tell me these words, Bob. And so it's a horrible thing, but hopefully it's helped save lives now. That's taken place.
You can only hope. I mean,
Yeah, hopefully they learn from the mistakes of the past.
yeah, it looks